Hello, everyone. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Rachel.
This week, we're talking about all of the resources that have been helpful to us during the pregnancy. So stay tuned and join us on our journey to meet Baby H.
This episode is going to be a touch longer just because there are so many resources that we want to cover. Harrison and I have tried very hard to make these episodes not super rambly, but I definitely want to make sure that we fully explain these products or channels so that you can determine by listening to this episode if it's something you want to check out or not.
We're going to go over a lot of resources from books, podcasts, videos, and many more that we have found especially nice for our journey. In the description of this episode, you can find links for any of the products mentioned today, and some of them do include discount codes as well. So let's get started.
Okay, so we are going to start off with some books that we've been reading. So our first one is, of course, the book that everyone knows and loves, What to Expect When You're Expecting. And the one that we have is the most recent 5th edition. That book really goes through step by step, month by month of your pregnancy, what you can expect symptoms-wise, appointments-wise, things you should be thinking about. And it also goes into a lot of detail about what your current life situation could be and just so many specifics. There's also a lot of great stuff in there for dads, so that's a really great resource to kind of start with.
This book has been mentioned in every parent panel that we've done, and everybody has found it very helpful. And one of the things that we have thought is very nice about the book is that it's broken down into the months and weeks of pregnancy. So it's not a book that you feel like you just need to crush the whole thing at the very beginning. You can read it gradually as you go to figure out what you should be expecting next.
I'm definitely still working my way through this book. I've been trying to just read the month that I'm on while it's happening. And then, of course, I've kind of jumped ahead to the end and read about labor and delivery just so I'm kind of prepared for those. But it has been a really nice thing to kind of process over a long period of time.
Another book that we found to be very helpful was Cribsheet by Emily Oster, and she also wrote another book called Expecting Better. These books are a data-driven guide to many of the decisions you're going to have to make throughout parenthood. And Cribsheets focus on decisions from your baby being born up until preschool. And what I found very nice about the book is that she presents a lot of these decisions from a data side and doesn't tell you which way is better or which way is worse. And the focus is really on just saying, here are the numbers, here are the studies that have been done all over the world, and what is actually helpful, and lets you make the decision on your own.
A book that I listened to a few months ago is called Supernatural Childbirth by Jackie Mize. I got it on Audible. It was only like an hour and a half listen. It's super easy, quick to go through. But it's a Christian-based kind of perspective about putting big faith in God and kind of trusting Him and what your body was meant to do through childbirth to kind of get you through this painless experience. And I really thought that that was fascinating.
There's another book called Cherish the First 6 Weeks that we actually found while we're listening to a different pregnancy podcast that we'll mention later. And this book is really just a plan to help create the most calm and confident parent you can be in the first 6 weeks of your baby's life. The author is Helen Moon, and she actually works for a huge range of people all over the world, where she is creating a schedule for babies of a lot of celebrities and very big name people to try and help them have a more stable life as fast as possible.
She's very qualified. She received her nanny training in the UK, which, you know, UK nannies are kind of known to be the best out there. And then she's also had like medical training in lactation consulting and things like that. So it's definitely been very interesting to kind of read through that book.
We know we probably won't be able to keep our baby on a strict minute-by-minute schedule, and we're okay with that. But this gives us a lot of good ideas on where to start and what things we need to try to introduce in our baby's life to develop a routine very early.
The last book that I have on here, which is a little bit more interactive, is Expecting and Organized, a Pregnancy and Newborn Baby Planner. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It covers everything from preparing before the baby arrives and gives you a large list of checklists for registry items and meals you can prepare before you go to the hospital. It talks through your labor and delivery process and those first couple days after your baby is home, what to expect and resources. And there's a lot of places where you can kind of fill out information that you're learning, things that have happened at your appointments. And it's just been a really nice kind of planner to have everything laid out in front of me so that I know, okay, I need to start thinking about this because that's kind of coming up for us.
It's kind of like a guided journal, and it's something that Rachel wanted right from the beginning. And when we were doing a lot of looking, more of these guided journals are about your baby and things that you hope for your baby, like collecting baby photos of us, things like that. And those are very cool, but they just weren't really what Rachel was looking for. And this has really been a good way for Rachel to document what's been going on and just to know what's coming up next.
It's very detailed and I really highly recommend it. If you are interested in purchasing this one, we do have a 10% off discount. So just go to the Undefining Motherhood website and use the code TAKE10OFF at the checkout.
Now we're going to move on to the podcast section of this episode. So I really like listening to podcasts and have found a good variety of different baby podcasts that I just kind of mix in while I'm listening to different stuff. So the first resource, we hope that you've been enjoying Meeting Baby H, and we've been able to provide some information that is helpful for you along the way.
If you have any topic requests, feel free to send us a message on Instagram or through our website. We'd love to hear a little bit more about what our audience would love to hear.
The next podcast is Hello Bump or Hello Baby. And this is actually the podcast where Rachel and I got the idea to start recording our pregnancy experience instead of journaling about it. So it's created by Matt and Angela Lanter, and Angela runs a blog, which is why they decided to start this and just documenting everything. And we really liked the idea of having an audio recording of everything that happened throughout this time.
They have stopped releasing episodes, and their pregnancy experience was a couple years ago, so the pandemic had not happened yet, and there were a lot of things that do not happen anymore. But it was kind of fun for us to listen back to and kind of get an idea of how we wanted to do our podcast.
Another really fun one is called Josie and Jonny Are Having a Baby with You. And this is one that I think is a lot more lighthearted. These two people are comedians in the UK, and they were pregnant and just decided to document their journey through a podcast and just have a good laugh at a lot of the things with it. I think that it's a really fun way to hear somebody else's experience and just think about a few other things.
The last podcast we have is called the Badass Breastfeeder Podcast. And I discovered this while we were heading back from our baby moon, and it really has been such a great resource for me as I'm trying to get prepared to breastfeed our baby. They are both IBCLCs, which is a really long acronym for lactation consultant, and they're also just have this large community of breastfeeders. They talk in detail about so many things. It's so nice that they're just honest and put it all out there, and that you know that there's this community of support if you're having trouble with your breastfeeding journey.
They have a ton of episodes, and every time I turn one on and listen through, I'm just amazed at how much extra information that they're able to provide that you might not be able to find anywhere else without reading a ton of extra articles and things like that. Now we're going to move on to the app section of these resources. So the very first app we want to talk about is called What to Expect. This app is basically the digital version of what to expect when you're expecting, and it's a free app that you can download on iOS or Android. It's got a lot of good information as you go throughout. It gives you a week-by-week summary of things that are going on with your baby, things that are going on with the mother, and we have really liked that it also gives you the sizes of your baby in comparisons to other things, and those are what we've been using when we do our recap episodes of just the weeks that have gone by. Probably the best and worst part of this app is there's also a community tab. You could be in these groups of other people that are expecting a baby in the same time frame, in the same area, and just in the same places as life as you, and have an easy place where you could ask other people what's going on in their pregnancy.
It can be a little anxiety provoking early on when people are just constantly posting about, am I having a miscarriage? Like, what do these symptoms mean? And so I definitely had to step away from the community tab for a while. But now that I'm further along, it's actually been a really nice tool when I have just a really weird question or a funny story that I want to share. And it's not something that I need to bring up with my doctor.
That's probably been the biggest resource for the community tab is it's just a place to ask these questions that other people who are going through pregnancy can say what their experience has been so that you at least have something else to compare it to. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of random people you met on the internet, so I'm not going to trust everything that they said as if a doctor had said it to me, but it's a good place to at least get an idea of whether you're on the right track.
Early on, I downloaded the Baby Center app. I wasn't really a fan of it, but it is one that's out there. The thing that I didn't like is that anytime I wanted to click on an article or a link, it would redirect me to Safari or something like that. And I just prefer if everything is all in the app. And so that's why I ended up deleting that one, but I did use it early on.
Baby Center will also provide you information about what's going on with a baby and what's going on with a mom. It also provides those really interesting size comparisons. And a lot of the information is very similar to what to expect, but there's a few things here and there that it will give you different facts.
The other app that I am currently still using is called Pregnancy Plus, and it's by the Philips company. And the images in this app are way more accurate than the ones on What to Expect. They kind of show it in 3D, and you can kind of move the baby around and see what they look like. And then it also has like ultrasound scans that you can kind of compare, like what should mine look like. It does a day by day article of things that you can kind of be experiencing around that time, as well as the weekly updates. So it has been a really cool app, and I've appreciated that they have different information than the What to Expect app.
Some of these daily tips have been incredibly well timed for Rachel. She'll get this tip and read it, and it will be exactly what she was talking about the day before. And it's just really impressive that they can line it up that well.
We are also going to mention some videos that we've been watching. So, the Pampers app actually offers a couple free childbirth and basic infant care videos. And I discovered this a couple months ago, and it's just a really nice resource that you can kind of get these basic childbirth classes if you can't afford to go to one or whatever your circumstance is. It is something that you can find that is free and reliable.
One of the things that I think is very nice about these videos is you can do them at your own pace. If you've got like a couple minutes here and want to watch it, that's totally fine. And if you're worried about that environment of being in a classroom trying to learn all of these things, you can kind of do it all at home first. And I just think it's a good resource. Another set of videos that we've really enjoyed is Father Figured, which is made by a YouTuber who goes by the name of Verb. Basically, this guy started a YouTube channel where he does a lot of product reviews, but he's also walked through many of the steps of pregnancy and just parenthood in general from the dad's perspective, and is trying to provide more resources to help dads that are looking for resources. We have found it to be super helpful, and his Father Figured course is about $89, and it basically is a set of videos where you can watch through each trimester and get some tips. He also has some tips on building a registry and ways that you can help your partner get through a pregnancy.
His YouTube channel is mostly product reviews, which is super helpful, but this Father Figured course just really dives into the specifics of pregnancy. He brings in a lot of guests that will talk about nutrition and doctors that can kind of give their opinion on things, and it's just way more pregnancy based than just product based. And so we definitely recommend that.
Yeah, so the video series is $89. If you use the link in our description, you actually can get 10% off of that video course.
The last videos that we've been watching is a YouTube channel called The Doctor's Bjorkman, and the wife is an OBGYN and the husband is a pediatrician. And they went through their pregnancy journey in 2020, I believe, and they just kind of documented it all through their perspective as doctors, but also going through it as parents for the first time. They're also just starting IVF, so they're probably going to be having more pregnancy videos coming out soon as they go through a second pregnancy.
It's really interesting to watch these videos and hear a doctor's perspective about going through a pregnancy on their own, because there are some things that they tell you in the doctor's office that when you're watching these videos, they're like, oh, well, here's kind of what we mean by this. And they break it down in more of a simple day-by-day terms, because sometimes the things that the doctors tell you, they sound great, but they aren't like 100% realistic.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about fitness resources that I've been using to try and stay in shape during this pregnancy. There is a channel on YouTube called Pregnancy and Postpartum TV. Of course, it's all free, and she has a lot of great workouts for while you're pregnant, but also postpartum. And if there's certain things that happen during your labor and delivery that you need extra help recovering from, she'll have specific workouts about that.
Another thing that was very convenient for us is before we were pregnant, we already had a subscription to Fitness Plus through Apple. And it's a bunch of videos that you can do with your Apple Watch to work out. And they actually have a whole series on pregnancy-specific workouts. And in every workout, they show you modifications that you can do. Not all of the modifications are perfect for pregnancy, but it's nice that they provide that in this huge catalog of workouts.
I also really highly recommend Amanda Kloots Fitness. It is a subscription series, but she does have some baby bump workouts, one for the first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. And then she also has a mommy and me workout that you can do once your little one is here. I've definitely found that her workouts were the most entertaining and challenging for me because they're kind of dance-based, and that's more of what I enjoy. So it's definitely something to look into if you're really into like cardio and dance.
One of the things that's very nice about the baby bump workout through Amanda Kloots and also the Fitness Plus pregnancy series is that all of the people in the videos are actually pregnant. So you know that a pregnant person can do this. So you should be okay to do it as well. But always make sure you talk to your doctor before you start adding increased amounts of workout to your lifestyle.
Our last resource is communities that you can look into. So the first one that I found is La Leche League, and it basically is a support group all about breastfeeding. It was recommended through the Badass Breastfeeder podcast. What I like about this organization is that it's worldwide, but you can find a group that is local to you. So my city has its own group that meets on certain days of the month that I can either call in on Zoom or I can go in person and get advice on how to fix any breastfeeding problems that I'm having. I've joined the group on Facebook just to kind of start checking it out, but obviously I'm not attending yet because I am not breastfeeding a baby. But it is nice to know that there are other people in my city that are breastfeeding alongside of me that I can get to know and have support.
Another great community for resources is your hospital. So you should talk to your doctors and the hospital that you decide to give birth at and see what child classes are offered around. So can they provide you extra childbirth classes on taking care of an infant and all of that? You also will be able to find resources on breastfeeding, such as finding lactation consultants and just basic infant care.
And the last community resource is just social media. There are so many great accounts out there and Facebook groups of people that want to help you have a great pregnancy, postpartum, breastfeeding, whatever your experience is as a mom or even as dads. There's people out there that want to get behind you and support you as parents.
Well, there is a large list of resources that we have been using throughout our pregnancy. Discount codes and links for certain products can be found in the description of this episode or on our website at 1022productions.com.
And remember, this is only what we've had time to read or listen to so far. There are so many resources about all kinds of topics out there, you just have to do a quick search. We'd also love to hear if there was anything that you found especially helpful during your pregnancy that we didn't mention today. Feel free to send us a message on Instagram at 1022productions or send us a message through our website.
Next time, we're going to talk about weeks 25 through 28 of pregnancy and our experience with the glucose test. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.